about 2 to 2.5 inches of this tube. So we're going to come right over here. Start heating this around. And then you want to get this, get this in the flame. You have a tendency to ride up on top of the flame, and then it's going to take you a lot longer, and you're not going to get as much heat in the glass as you would. So just kind of make sure you're focused on the front of the tube there.
How big is that? Is that 2 inches, 3 inches?
About 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 to 2.5 is what you want to go for. Up to 3, it's just going to be a little easier to start smaller with these. Okay, and then kind of neck that down, let it thicken up there. And you can come in and use your necking tool. And when you do this, you're not pushing together. If anything, kind of let the tubes drift apart when you put that neck in there. You want to be really light-handed about it at first, and then as the glass cools off, you can apply a little bit more pressure. And then if you come in and just heat one side a little bit,
oh well.
Break off. That wasn't the prettiest. We're going to close up this end. And to do that, we just want to focus the heat right on this end here. Just on that front edge. And then you can use your tweezers or a piece of glass.
Closed now?
It is. And I got ahead of myself again, so I forgot to get go with some unconventional Christmas colors. Green sparkle and then purple.
What colors did you pick?
Got some paparazzi green and some amber purple. So what I'm gonna do now is what I want you guys to do first.
Oh, hope it's not pull stringers.
Curveballs. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make some filigrana stringer. This is nice to do with colors of like to boil, and it'll help. It helps separate when you do line work. It'll if you case some of the color in clear and pull it into a stringer and use that as your first lines. Then when you lay color down in between it, if it touches, it gives you a little bit more separation. It also makes the stringer pull out a little nicer. It's nice to do with white. And
You can also get some of the tubing and stick the whole rod
so I'm
down
just
in there
warming
and
up
then heat it where the
into
air
this,
comes out and then it's already
paparazzi
encased.
here.
I'm lazy that way.
I like that.
And the whole idea is to just encase about 2 inches worth, 2 or 3 inches. So we're going to lay a stripe down one side, and then 180 degrees on the other side. And you see I have the torch focused on the bottom of the clear and just slightly on the color to feed it. And you want to let the glass move as it, don't force it, you don't want to break things. And you try to keep the color you don't want to get the color too hot or it's just going to flop over.
But these are clear stripes.
Right.
They don't have you don't have any purple on there.
No. Just clear over paparazzi. And keep the torch focused on the clear.
Alright, finally, you say I have met somebody that makes stringer exactly like I do.
Uh-huh.
I do this with soft glass. I do it that way.
Yes.
I don't make a paddle unless I'm making a complex cane or something. I usually just put the
And then you use that for latticino, or that's how you get your stringer ready?
That's just how I get some of my stringer colors.
Yeah, and so you probably noticed
Or
that.
hair, like for dolls
Yeah,
or
it makes
mermaids.
it's easier
I do that.
to make. You get a lot finer lines, because then when you pull the stringer down, the stringer can be a millimeter or so, but the actual once you melt it in, the actual color is a lot thinner than that. So you can get lines that would otherwise be just too really thin to work with. So when we melt the clear in, I pined up a handle here, and then there's about 4 passes, and so the thing I didn't mention, do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come back around, and then when you lay those down, you want to try to lay them in between the other ones, and feed the rod in so that we're kind of forcing the last row up against the rows to either side and forcing the air out, and you'll end up with some kind of little air channels in between those last passes. And so when we melt this in, we're going to start at the tip and work our way down so that we don't trap air. It's not the end of the world if we get some bubbles in there, but this is just a
Well, it depends on who you talk to there.
okay. You're gonna.
I consider the future.
Are you okay? I wasn't sure if you meant if you get an air bubble in there, you're gonna flip the table over, So you can kind of see you're just kind of chasing the air out. Yeah, it's not gonna hurt anything. It just can affect how it pulls out. Big bubbles in there.
Are you pulling it?
No, I'm just kind of melting the clear in. And you can do this by turning. You don't have to rock it back and forth. You just want to always be feeling and looking at the heat base. Okay, so that's all melted smooth, and so now what we can do, and if you have, like when you're making those icicles or you're trying to heat up you know, the whole mass of glass and have it move evenly. A little bit more propane makes kind of a more, you know, a bushier, softer, more penetrating flame that's gonna heat to the core of the glass more evenly. If you have a lot of oxygen, it's just gonna, you know, liquefy the surface, and then the inside's gonna be stiff. Come to each end, and I want to keep the heat to this side of where the clear stops. I don't want to get the color hot over here, because when I pull it, I'm going to pull this into a stringer. So I want the heat base to be, you know, in this middle section, so I don't lose the stiffness of the two handles there. And if you hold this at this angle like this, keep the heat on the center mass of glass and away from the ends. It's going to help out a lot. It also lets the flame graze up the sides of the piece, so you can heat up more glass with a smaller flame. So we're gonna, it's all even. I'm looking at the heat base and looking for dark areas, you know, to bring that color up so that it's all a nice uniform thickness. And with the Boro, a layer of clear on the outside really helps some of these stiffer colors pull out evenly. And so once we've got it to this point, we can start to pull a little at a time. And then once, about, you know, a 2 millimeter stringer. Once you see the first section of it hit the diameter you want, and that'll chill pretty quickly, and then you can pull the rest a little faster. So you start slow, but if it stiffens up, you know, don't force it. You know, don't want it to break.
The clear makes a lot of them sparkle colors prettier too.
Yeah, it does look nice. Okay. So once you have that,
I might have some of that in that order I just
Heat up
got. If
the
you want
end.
to write of it, let
Give
me know.
yourself
Cool.
a
I know I got
little
some
bit.
kind of green sparkle. Neat.
just
I
grab
want to say
one.
maybe jackpot and paparazzi is related
And
to
if you hold
jackpot.
this upright, you'll be able to hold it in your tweezers a little bit easier. Okay.
I don't have any tubing though, except for small. So I'll have to order that.
I'm gonna do the same thing with some white here. And again, we're just preheating the white. We don't really want to melt it. Just want this clear to go on without cracking it. Because if you don't preheat the length you're gonna add the clear to, it's gonna have a tendency, you'll draw a clear line here, and it's gonna have a tendency to want to crack. Divide this into fourths. Eyeball it 180 degrees, and then we get 2.
Are you going all the way to the top? Because it doesn't look like you're going all the way to the bottom.
Just to the shoulders.
On both ends?
Yeah. You know, you can, yeah. To the shoulders is good. You can get these ones closer to the top, and then it's easier to bring them together. Alright, I'm going to take this paparazzi here. divide each of those sections. And just let the heat do the work so you don't break your stringer. Yeah, and for you guys who were here yesterday, it's, you know, it's not a lot different, you know, from what we were doing with the beads. Just kind of moving up with the filigrana, and you fit a few more. You know, it's easier to fit a few more rods on these. And so I just have the colored rod here, and so since all of these stringers have clear over them, when this color gets melted in, it's okay. It doesn't really matter if you touch the stripes a little bit because it has that little buffer of clear. It's going to pull out nice. And
You're gonna fill it in with clear, or just
not going
with
to
one stripe?
not going to fill it in. I'm just going to try to get a nice flat, thin stripe of the amber purple in there.
Why did you not encase the amber purple?
Because it's hard to strike it.
It
Okay.
this method of dividing the tube with the filigrana and then laying down some thicker color bands in between, it gives a really nice, even distribution of color, so that when we go to twist this and pull it out, it's all going to move together. Because that's kind of a big part of working with these hollow forms and decorating them, is that anytime you add color to the surface or clear, you're changing the thickness, but particularly with the color, you have different viscosities in these colors, and so this kind of
So if you didn't have the amber purple in there, would you stripe it with clear just to make that
you
that
could
viscosity?
you could, and that would, you know, keep your thickness more even, and that, you know, that can be helpful to getting a really nice uniform twist. It's not totally necessary because you can compensate for that.
Okay, but you've seen my skills, so you're saying I could compensate for that.
Well, yeah. Part of it's, it has there. You know, there's a lot going on. So part of it is a design thing, but it's also there's also this technique gives you a piece of colored tubing that, you know, behaves pretty well. You have to, you know, we're gonna work. A lot of the work and challenge here is going to be, so we have all these stripes here.
I have the hardest time with amber
A
purple.
lot of the
Oh yeah.
struggle here is going to be melting these in. 'Cause we're
Yeah.
gonna-
The struggle's real.
Yeah. The struggle is
The
real.
struggle is real. Amber purple's the bane of my existence.
You're going to want some heat to do this.
Momka's has a nice version though that's not as temperamental. It's like Purple Thunder or something like that. When I work amber
So
purple,
we're
it
going to
turns to
focus on
baby
this
poop
shoulder
color.
here.
Yeah, I played with it just that much. Now you have a more oxygenated flame because you're surface melting now?
Exactly.
Alright.
We want to melt those stripes on the surface into the clear to get that started before the whole massive tube gets hot. And it's kind of like the beads, you know, we're going to establish this shoulder over here. We can pull all this color together. flame cut that, you can come in. Use the diamond shears. I'm not trying to make a hole, so you can kind of use the diamond shears a little bit more aggressively for that part. You can go ahead and round out that end a little bit. And I just barely puff a little there and there.
Is it closed on that end though?
It is.
So that's a solid rod punty.
Correct. And then once we have this on here, make sure that's straight.
What's your production torch at home?
I use a Herbie, a Herbert Arnold.
The water cooled ones.
40 millimeter. It's not water cooled. It has an air option, so I run propane and oxygen, and then it has air, a little bit of air added.
So you're used to a bigger flame.
Yeah, it's about. It has an aperture flame, so I can adjust it from, about a third of this size, smaller little pinpoint flame, all the way up to about as big or round as this thing is, So I want to keep the heat away from this side. I want to focus it over here because I want to bring this down first.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Say those things again.
So I want to keep the heat off of this clear shoulder and away from the tube. I kind of want to cut in
Oh, I see.
this
So
side
you're,
of the color.
you're kind of pulling the stripes.
Yeah,
to-
so I can bring those, taper this down and
So you never worked on that shoulder up there at all?
just this front part.
Okay,
And
front
so
there.
I'm establishing the shoulders first, and I'm thickening this shoulder. And if you just focus the heat this side of these the ends of the color here, and just keep it in one spot and don't pull it, don't really push it. Then it will thicken up and start to constrict.
But we know how to do that. Yeah, we can constrict it too. We're good at that.
Taking that other side over.
Of course, that would be right.
And you're gonna want to just be mindful of keeping it right in front of those handles. And you can see it's thickening up, and we want to keep that shoulder pretty thick so that we can work the rest of these lines in without losing control of the situation. So you can see that the wall thickness in here is pretty thick. And I didn't really pull much, just kind of heat and let it.
It's like a little bottle.
So now you want to have something like this, and then now we can go in and start working in these stripes. You can go from one shoulder, and same with the, kind of use this angle. lot of this hollow work where you have a larger piece like this, you know, you want to find the rhythm, because while I'm heating this shoulder over here, the other one's losing heat. So you're kind of trying to work that temperature up together and maintain it. Battle with entropy. And again, I'm not pulling or pushing or twisting yet. Alright, so still have a slight bit of texture over here. Now at this point, it's smooth enough to put a little twist on it. And you can get real serious about, you know, having these things twist, you know, from end to end. But it's going to make things a little easier if we just start by putting a nice twist in the middle like this and let the rest of it be straight. So once we have a little twist there, just a little bit of air, bring that out. Now, we do the final blowout. This amber purple, it's up to you guys if you want to use the amber purple, if you want to use the red. It reduces on the surface, and so if you're not really aggressive with the oxygen, there's this haze that develops on the amber purple that you burn it off, you get it to strike out, then you get the nice purples and fuchsias and ambers. If it reduces a little bit, like it's kind of doing, it would kind of just be more of a sandy, you know, earth tone. So I'm focusing most of the heat on the shoulders here, and I'm kind of bringing my hands together really gently
So you're not twisting
as
her.
the glass heats up. No, just keeping it even. Turn, 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 turn. So what I want to do is get this all kind of a nice, even heat base. And we'll move farther out in the flame for the last little heating. Bring it out. Push it together a little bit while you blow. And if you blow a little bit at first and then pause to let the thinner parts chill, then if there's thicker parts and the second time you add air, then those should kind of puff out. You're fired.
No more filming allowed.
Hello?
So just kind of heating up that last little part and pushing it in to, give us a rounder shape. Now at this point,
You had that as a full weld on there, that punty, right?
yes. Now just kind of a little added, design element. You can heat up a section of this rod. Push it in just a little bit. And I like to put a little heat up this side of it and just kind of slightly pull to give it a little taper. That just like that, still our handle. Then we're going to come back over to this side.
What is going to be the top of the ornament when you're done? The blowpipe top? Blowpipe side?
This side,
Yeah.
that's where we're going to put our loop.
Okay.
Heat this up. Shake that down a little bit. Now all I'm going to do is kind of focus the heat on this neck here and twist. Just let it thicken up.